Hi, and welcome to yet another episode of the Weekend Warriors Workshop. Now today, as I was puttering about my garage, I got careless and I managed to put a real sharp object through one of my screen printing screens. So I need to restretch a screen. Well, as it happened, I didn't like the way my screen stretcher was set up, so I decided to redesign it on the fly. So what I've done is I've redesigned my screen stretcher, so this is the video for another day, stretching the screen. First thing you're going to need is a screen stretcher. Now, this is it, and it consists of 4 2x2s, lap jointed together, glued and stapled in the corners, giving me a nice big square box. 2x2 drawbars, cut the same size as my screen, in this case 19 by 15. Those drawbars are joined to the large frame by what I call draw bolts, and what they are just 8-inch carriage bolts. And I've drilled a hole for the head. It goes pretty much halfway inside, and then I've got my knobs. Whoops. There we go. My knobs are a piece of 1/2-inch stock with a T-bolt driven into it. So 1/4-inch bolts, 20 turn per inch threads, and then on the back I took a thin sheet of wood, stapled all the way around with 3/4-inch crown staples, and then where I'm going to use clamps, and this is where I redesigned it. I redesigned it where I can use my little C clamps to put caps on the drawbars. Now what these caps do is add extra friction to the material, because inside the cap, each cap, there is a 1/8-inch groove cut along my table saw, 1/8 inch wide, 1/8 inch deep, and in that groove I've glued a piece of window screen ribbing, the stuff that holds your screens in. So it's pretty ironic I'm using it to make screens. So anyway, when the screen goes down over, the cap will go on top, and then the clamps will clamp it down. So I cut slots to accommodate the clamps so they can move along with everything else. I put the back on it because it makes a nice sturdy platform to work from and gives the screen someplace to sit. So 2x2 frame, 2x2 drawbars, we'll say 3/8 of an inch cap pieces with screen door ribbing. Now each piece, the static pieces, the parts that don't move, have also got a 1/8 inch groove in them. It's an 1/8 inch wide, 1/2 inch deep, and that's going to hold another piece of screen ribbing, and that's going to hold the screen down. That's going to provide my two bases to work off of. Left over from the prototype, on the back of my drawbars, I've got some tack board with the tacks pointing downward. And what that's going to be used for is a little pre-tensioning. I'm not wild about using it because I'm always stabbing myself, but it helps you pre-tension the mesh that you're going to put over the screen. So there's nothing left to do but to do it. So here we go. Let's see here. I've got my mesh. And I'll go ahead and lay my mesh out so it's going to be useful to me. And to keep my mesh from wandering around where I don't want it to, I'll go ahead and use some clip clamps to just clip it into place. Remove my caps and stuff from under it so it's easy to work around. I can actually put those right there right now. Here's another little jiffy clamp to use. I'll actually clamp that right there. It's just going to keep the mesh from swirling around on me. Now I want to put my ribbing in. So I need my ribbing pushing tool. And I'll just give a little press there. And drive it into the slot. You don't have to rush, you can take your time. All rushing gets you is a messed up job. And I've already messed up. So I'm going to do a little quick pre-tension on this and make sure it can't go anywhere. Hook it to the bottom one there. Yeah, let's try that again. Try not to fold mesh over. Okay, now on to the other static side. I can pull this clamp out of here. Or can I? Ah, there we go. Get that out of my way. Now the mesh I'm using here isn't real screen printing mesh. This is chiffon that I bought at Joann's. But it'll do the job that we want to do. Now I'm just going to pull a little pre-tension on the mesh here. Whoops. It would help if I put my screen in. Now my screen is built the same way that this larger frame was. It has lap joints in the corners, and it's glued and pin nailed in place. And then I take it to my router and I round off the edges, soften the corners. This guy's been sanded down real good and clear coated. So now I'll stuff him on under there. And make sure he sits slightly above the bits of the frame. He doesn't, so I'm going to put a couple lifters in. Okay, lifters are just about 3/16 inch wide pieces of wood that will slip into the bottom and the top and allow my screen to sit up higher than the frame of the screen stretcher. That way the mesh has to pull over and down over the top, and when I glue it into place, it will sit down. So now I'll move those again. And just put a little pre-tension by stretching these guys over. And hooking them onto the tack board. Now my tack board isn't going to be the main body of the pull. Like you see on a lot of the screen printing videos where they're stretching the screen. In this case, the tack board's just providing some pre-tension. What's going to provide the pull are the drawbar covers. So I can start clamping these things in place. That one goes there, which means this one goes here, and this one goes here. So now it's just a matter of clamping up. And for this, I will go into high speed mode. this point, I could add that I could get away from using the tack board just by clamping a little bit, putting a little bit of tension on the drawbar cover, and then pulling, and then tightening the drawbar cover back up. I don't necessarily have to have the tack board on here. Just like this. There. Now I can just pull it up tight by drawing it up here, just like this. Okay, this is pretty darn tight. I'm not feeling any ripples, any bulges, any soft spots. I'm feeling everything looking pretty darn tight on there. I don't have a tensiometer, unfortunately, so I don't know what kind of tension I'm getting on this. But I am getting a good bounce with my nut. Lost my nut. So now I'm just going to go ahead and put some contact cement on here. Good old Weldwood basic contact cement. And then I'm going to leave it sit for a while and it will be fine. Now normally I would let it sit for a little while, sort of let it relax a little bit, then I'd come back and give it another stretch. But I don't think I need to do that this time, especially because this is going to be a one-color screen. I know exactly what I'm going to do with it. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. That's it. That's how you'd stretch a screen. To glue it down, I'm going to glue it all the way around the edge, all the width of the screen, so it's going to have good contact. It's going to stay nice and tight for me. So that's it. We got a screen stretcher, we stretch the screen. That's all there is to it. So, plans on this will be on the website, www.weekendwarrior.net84.net. You got questions, comments, suggestions? Send them to me at unclechris805@hotmail.com. And until we see you again, keep up the good fight, and I'll see you next time.